Good morning. Today's gonna be Ace 4 offsuit. We have a open raise to me. So open raise in early position. Players playing 53, 38, 10. We have seen him before. Unfortunately, the note that I took did not include the cards that he played. So where he called under the gun in early position, and then he called 50%, made min raise, and then bet all in on a king high flop. Don't really remember that hand at all. Maybe it was like ace 5. Just don't remember it. But we can see that overall he's playing 55%. When we look at the stats, it's 63%, 62% raise first in early position, 54 mid position. This guy's pretty loose. Looks like he's pretty darn loose overall, and maybe loosens up a lot in early position. So I put together a range like this. This is 64%. It's got your ace x, king x hands, queen x, just all, bunch of different hands. That's 64%, and that's probably pretty close. I mean, this has to be about how wide he is. I'm gonna fold this, being out of position versus at least 3 more players. But the big blind comes in for a 3 bet. Big blind's playing 3 bets about 10%, so 7 out of 71. We do have some notes on him where he 3 bets with queens, nines, ace jack off, king queen off. Overall, 3 bet by position. You could see highest is small blind, 3 out of 17. And if we look at 3 bet versus position, kind of versus mid position seems to be the highest, 3 out of 27. Or at least the most times 3. They've also been in it most times there. But you've got it's about 13% or so, 1 out of 8, and 3 out of 25. They're close. So I don't think he'd necessarily 3 bets based on like who made the initial raise. I just think he probably has somewhat of a standard raising range, and I did this. So we know we had 9, so I'm going to say 9s plus. We know it's had ace jack, so I'm going to ace jack off, so I'm going to say ace jack off plus, and also include the suited side. And it has king queen off, so I'm going to include the king queen suited. This gets us to 7.5%, which is not quite the 10%, but probably pretty close. Maybe we could expand it. We would probably add the suited hands to that, but I think we're going to leave it here and go with it. Go with it until we see otherwise. So we had 2.8, and then kind of made not, let's see here, 3. Let's see here, 6, 760. Not quite a 3x bet. It's not quite a 3x bet. Could be about a pot size bet. I think that's probably what it is. Probably a pot size raised. Yeah, it's probably close to a pot size raise, but he made the raise, and then he had a call. I think if you're gonna 3 bet, unless you're 3 betting and have a really solid hand and trying to induce a call, you really need to go larger. You're going to be out of position. And I think in this spot, this guy's fold 3 bet 16%. He's playing 65% of hand, and he's only going to fold 16% of them. That's absolutely nuts. So go larger. Let him call with all of his weak hands. Now's the time to get him to get that money in the pot. That's what I would do. So he raises, and we get called. The question is he going to call with this entire range? We know his fold to 3 bets, that's 13%. Maybe he tightens up. Maybe he kind of cleans up some of his, make sure he has just like straight draws. Maybe he gets rid of like some of the queen X hands. maybe some of the King X. That would be it. I mean, I think that would be it. That's all we would have if he does that. So we'll go with it. Flop comes down 6-5-3. All right, he has the initiative. He bets about a third pot, a little less than a third pot. I could easily see him betting overpair, no problem. Probably bet like a flush draw. C-bet stat isn't that great. 50% in position, only 36% out of position. Kind of makes me think he's not going to be betting like all of his overcards, like all of his ace king, ace queen type hands. So I think I'm just gonna go like a hand like that. This guy calls, so he folds a c-bet when in position is basically 0. Out of positions 50%. He just doesn't seem like he likes to fold at all. Almost seems like anything, any hand he's gonna call. So like even overcards, like I mean that's it. I mean, if you include the overcards, include gut shots, I mean that is everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's how he plays it. I think he does add some folds a little bit later. So the 4 comes out. Now he bets again about a third pot or so. Still, I think I'm gonna give him the overpair. Gonna keep the flush draw in there. I think that's probably a pretty good range for him. Now we get a raise and we get a min raise. And the question is, what's he gonna min raise? I'm not gonna add a massive amount of weight to this guy min raising like only premium hands. I think definitely he can have the straight. Does min raise. I'm gonna go back here. Yeah, I do think initially he could probably have been playing overpair plus for a raise, so I'm gonna exclude those. And then when the 4 gets there, I think he definitely could have the straight, could definitely have 2 pair, maybe have top pair as a raise. I didn't raise it the last time, so maybe I don't raise it this time. I don't really expect him to do like a flush draw, but we do have the note that he plays turn draw aggressively. So maybe he gets to a flush draw, maybe he improves to a gut shot, maybe he throws out a bet like that. I'd say it's less likely, but anyways, we're gonna go with it. And this guy calls. Why he just call instead of raise? Well, I kind of sense he's gonna call with all of his overpair. I think he's going to feel like he has to. And he doesn't want to raise because he could easily be up against a straight and he could be drawing dead. So I think he's probably going to keep with his overpair and with his flush draw. Queen comes out. I kind of expect him to check his entire range here. So I don't really think that's going to change here. Has all these hands along with ace high. This other guy now checks, so I kind of think the straight's out. Actually, I think the 2. He's got the 2. He probably would check that. I think a 7 would bet. I think sets, 2 pair, top pair. I think all the rest. I think a 7's betting. That would be my gut. All right, so we get to it. He shows 9. He shows jack. So we had the nines here. It's kind of what we had expected. Um, this guy, we went back here and kind of assumed he would have raised the overpair. Maybe he would have just raised with like aces and kings. Because he would have kept betting those. And then he would have the underpair. Yeah, I could see that. So different. He actually has a decent hand that time. So let's go ahead and raise. Let's take some notes here. All right, took the notes on the hands. Make sure I had, both of them. Raise first in, etc. 3-bet for this guy. Don't mind the raise at all. He's actually has a hand this time, which is a bit surprising. Based on his stats, you kind of expect him to have a bunch of junk. But this time he actually has a hand. Flop seems okay. He could have easily have raised flop. Kind of expected. I think I would probably expect him to raise flop a bit more. Just kind of attack, because you do kind of somewhat expect like ace king, ace queen, king queen, diamonds to be betting here. I think they're going to be calling a flop raise. They're going to call a turn raise. Queen of Hearts not the favorite card out there. If we think villain's got like the ace king of diamonds, ace queen of diamonds, then yeah, the queen's gonna hit connect some of the time. I think any other diamonds are just gonna fold. I think ace king, ace queen, king queen. Queen actually becomes somewhat of a scary hand. Over pairs though, just kind of depends on the action. So, you raise. If pocket nines re-raises, I think jacks is going to just have to start considering maybe they're not going to be the highest pocket pair anymore. Some people do get like aggressive like that. They'll get aggressive with those overpairs, which makes it tricky. Others are more straightforward, where it's like, you check raise, and then when it comes over the top, you're looking at like aces, maybe kings, possibly queens, and that's about it. I think a lot of players at this level, this 10 and L, they kind of freeze up once they start a raise. So, I mean, I think the play was okay. I'm just kind of thinking maybe he could have gotten a little bit of value on the river. I mean, if you bet small enough here, the pot's, 54. So I thought he did a pretty good job here. Don't really like the min raise. He probably could have raised it up to like 21 and still gotten called, or 22 and still gotten called. That would have been probably, it gets that extra bet so that you don't have to look at the river to try to squeeze out that little extra value. Because I think if he's playing a diamond draw and he connects with that queen, I don't think he's going to bet. I think he's going to go into check call mode on the river. So kind of think the river check is probably the right thing to do in this spot. Again, let's see here. When we look at it, he could possibly have the overcards. And I do think those would probably call. Just kind of depends on the size. So if he like bets the pot, I think nines probably fold. So that's not what you really want to do. I think the obvious hand is having a 7 here, having a straight. So that's why I kind of think if you bet large enough, I think you're going to get a lot of these folds, possibly all of the folds, which means you could kind of bluff. So if you were, if you had, let's say, 5-4 or 4-3, and you improve, and maybe you had diamonds to go with it, and you improve to 2 pair, yeah, I don't think that's a hand to bluff on the river. But let's change it, and let's say you had 4-8, or like ace-4. Yeah, ace-4 diamonds, and you raised it because you picked up a pair, and now you have the diamond draw. You missed the diamond draw on the river. This could be a spot where you kind of don't think your fours are going to win, so you can bet, and it's going to be hard for this guy to call with any of his hands because you've got 4 to a straight out there. I think that's a hand where you could bluff. And again, for a hand like that, if you have the ace of diamonds, you block the diamond draws, which means like when he calls, I'm starting to think overpair. And he's going to be, unless he hit a queen, unless he hit that trips, I think if you bet large enough here on the pot, he's probably going to fold all of those other overpairs, which all beat your 4, like your ace-4 hand. So I think that's probably about him for this hand. Nothing more to say. It's just they had pocket pair versus pocket pair. So good to review a hand like this. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, look tomorrow for another hand.